Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Korea College's Information Evening for first years. Delighted to welcome all of you who are giving up your time on such a wonderful summer's evening. I hope we get lots more of them in the months to come. We're going to do our best to keep this as short as possible while still giving you an opportunity to get to know some of the key members of our team here in Korea College. And just to let you know that we're so excited to welcome your children into school in September. It's been a really difficult time for them. 5th class and 6th class have been very disrupted for them. School for all of us has been a very strange place for the last year, but September 2021 we can see real hope. Normality is returning. There will still be some strangeness about school life, no doubt, but during the next few months we can see a normal school life returning, and we're very excited to welcome this new group of first years to join our community. We haven't had the usual opportunities to meet you or your children, but we are really excited about this. There will be some COVID strangeness, and we'll all be very hopeful that we'll be well on the way to normal school life soon, and that will be restored over the next number of months. Our staff and students in our school for the last year have been absolutely magnificent. There's been all sorts of challenges to school life, but the children here and the staff who are teaching them have been just absolutely magnificent. I know young people are sometimes getting a bad rap in the world at large at the moment, but I have to say that on a day-to-day basis here in our school, we just see hard-working, wonderfully behaved students coping with very difficult circumstances very, very well. And your children are very lucky to be joining this school community. In September, we'll be celebrating our 10th anniversary. We've come a long way in that time. We had just 56 students when we opened in September 2011. We will be a fully operational 1,000 pupil school this coming September. And we have an enormous range of subjects and programs. We have new subjects that didn't exist 10 years ago, like Leaving Cert PE, Computer Science, Politics and Society, Leaving Cert Applied program, Leaving Cert Vocational program, a range of Leaving Cert Established, a range of junior cycle short courses. So we've come a long way in a very, very short period of time. And we're looking forward to continuing that next stage of our journey with you and with your children. On the team tonight, we have a number of our staff, our first year ahead, our special education needs coordinator, our IT coordinator, one of our deputy principals is here as well to join us. And to the right of your screen, you should be able to see a box where you can put some questions. If you have any questions, you can type them in there, and a member of the team will try to answer those over the course of the evening. We promise to be finished within the hour, and if we can finish up a little bit early, I think on such a lovely evening, we'll be delighted to achieve that. I'm going to hand you over now to Moraine Mcguire, who will be the first year head in September.
Okay, good evening, everyone. You're all very welcome here this evening. My name is Moraine Mcguire, and I'm the year head for all incoming first years. I'll begin by introducing you to a few key staff who you will become familiar with over time. Our senior management consists of Mr. Paul Glynn, who you've already met this evening, and our deputy principals are Declan O'Toole, Janet Wallace, and Linda Furlong. So in addition to my pastoral role with first years, we also have the guidance counsellor for all first years, Miss Jude Darcy. So my role is a pastoral role, and as the year head, it is my responsibility to look after the whole group, and I will be working extremely closely with my tutors to support your child in our school. I will overlook and manage the day-to-day running of the students in first year, and I will also be the communicator within the school to other staff in relation to your child. The first year team then also includes class tutors, MEHA leaders, class teachers, the SET team, and the student support team. The role of the class tutor is very, very significant. So your son or daughter's tutor is a teacher that they will see every morning. It's a specific teacher that is assigned to their class group who is responsible for that class. And we in Korea refer to them as class tutors. And we feel that seeing the same person every morning will really help with the transition from primary to secondary school. The tutors have a number of key roles, but they are your first port of call as a parent, and they are the teacher that your son or daughter should go to if they have any concerns. So we'll now take a look at the transition from primary school to Korea College and what your child will go through. So as your child moves from primary to secondary school, it is a very important time for them in many, many ways. I'm sure that they are all really excited to progress to secondary school. And also, I suppose it's really helpful for as parents to be aware of how all the change might impact on your child. Your child will now have a longer day at school. They will now have multiple teachers as opposed to just one. And they are now moving into a huge 3-story building, which will be both very, very exciting, but also might be quite daunting. And they're also moving from being the oldest set of students to the youngest set of students in school. So how can ye help? So it's really, really important to try and establish good habits from the very, very beginning. Having a good morning routine, for example. So getting up early, making sure that everything is organised and leaving enough time to get to school and taking into consideration that there might be traffic issues. Having your students and having your child have a healthy diet, so a good breakfast to start off the day. Make sure they have snacks and make sure they have their lunch with them as well. Their uniform, this might be something that they might get ready the night before, and it might really, really help then with the morning routine. Important things then like passwords and combination locks for their lockers, try and keep them somewhere safe at home. So if they need to, they can contact you and get those codes. Also have a copy of their timetable. You might wish to keep this on the fridge. You might put it in an area where your child will be doing their homework. And again, as you're packing their bag the night before, it'll be really, really easy for them to know what subjects they have. Also then, in addition to that, your child will have extra bags for things like home economics and also art. And I suppose first and foremost, just really encourage your child to make new friends, to go out of their comfort zone, and to also get involved in things like extracurricular activities, because this will really help with their transition and it will really help them to get to know other people. Please remember then, as parents, the student journal is really, really important, and it is a really, really good communication link from home to school. So you should check the journal regularly. Sign the journal every week so that we can see that you have signed it and that you're actually monitoring the journal as much as we are. In the journal, as well as that, then you can provide notes for absences, any issues with uniform or lateness. You can also get in touch with us then with any issues as they arise, and I suppose communication really, really is key, opening up the lines of communication and making sure that there's no issues. And also encourage your child, our students, to ask for help and to communicate, whether that's with their tutor, their class teacher, or me, their year head. How can you make contact with school then? So you can request communication or a meeting with a tutor, with a teacher, or with a year head by placing a note in the journal is one method. You can also email the tutor or the staff member directly. And if for any reason that you need to meet with the deputy principal or principal, you can call the office and arrange an appointment. And Miss Finola Myrna and Miss Carmel Goff are the ladies in the office, and they are happy to help you with any questions or queries. So what should I do if my child is? You might have lots and lots of questions, and the system that may have been going on in primary school is going to be quite different to Korea College. So if for some reason your child is late, you can put a note in the journal and they will sign in at the office, and then they will show that late note to their tutor. If they are absent, there is a section in the back of the journal that you can complete, and again those notes will be handed to the class tutor and the class tutor will take a copy. If you need to sign them out for any reason, again, you put a note in the journal and you can collect your child at reception. We also have a text system that operates then to alert of any absences if your child does not show up from school. Next, I'm going to move on then to our induction period, and the induction is really, really important from day one into the first month and into the first term. So for health and safety reasons, it has not been possible to conduct our annual entrance tests for incoming first years at this time. So instead, they're going to take place over the course of 2 days, and that is the 26th and the 27th of August. So they are key dates to take note of. The year group will be split in half over the 2 days, so your child will only be in for one of those days. Communication then via text message will be sent to you just to confirm all of this closer to the time. And all first years will then begin their first full days on the 1st and the 2nd of September. So what should they bring with them on the first few days of school? So they will either be in uniform or in their PE uniform. And again, as we're doing an induction programme for our first years, we will confirm this with you closer to the time. In their school bag then, they should have pencil case, pencils, pens, colouring pencils, pencils, sharpener, the rubber, all the usuals, a supply of standard copies for different subjects, a packed lunch then or money to buy lunch in the canteen, their iPad fully charged, and as I said, closer to the time, we'll be able to break this down a little bit more for you for the first few days. So I'm saying this is an induction week for first year. I suppose sixth class have gone through so much disruption over the past 2 years. It's really, really important, and we as a school want to take the time to properly induct all of your children into school. So all students will have 2 days of initial induction, and that will begin on the 1st of September, which is a Wednesday, and they will be in for Wednesday and Thursday. The induction programme will continue then into their first full week, which begins the 6th of September. And the 6th of September is their first time where they will be in the school building with all other year groups. On Wednesday the 1st and Thursday the 2nd, it will only be first years and also 6th years. So they'll really get a feel for the place, and we'll be working with them to get familiar with the whole building and all the contents that go with that. Okay, we'll also be looking at their school journals and how to use them properly, their timetables, their lockers, iPad instructions, getting from class to class, and also we'll be, I suppose, looking at our expectations for the students and for their behaviour. We also have an excellent peer support team that will be working with us, and I mentioned the MEHA leaders earlier on. So each year, a number of our 6th year students, they take on the role of MEHA leader to our 1st year students. These senior cycle students take on a mentoring role, and they actually receive official training from Wexford Local Partnership to equip them with the skills to become mentors for incoming 1st year students. The MEHA leaders help to ensure the smooth transition of our new 1st years coming into the school, and they're available to assist them in any way necessary, especially during their first few days in school. In the first few weeks of term, it may be practical things that they need help with, such as getting to grips with timetable, organising their lockers, homework, and finding their way around the school. And the students in 1st year really quickly become familiar with the MEHA leaders that are allocated to their class, and the MEHA leaders become a friendly face that they can turn to when needed. And often it is the MEHA leaders that they will go to first rather than the tutor, because of, I suppose, the 6th year care that is given. And it's really been a fantastic support to all our 1st years over the past few years, and it's an excellent programme that we'll continue to work with and to use. So our induction week for 1st years then, so during this week, we will be all allocating time to work with the 1st years on wellbeing activities and designing a programme whereby students will all become familiar with each other as a tutor class, with their MEHA leaders, with their class teachers and the 1st year team of staff. Each student will receive an induction booklet full of activities and exercises that will promote wellbeing, and it will settle your child into Crea College and give them a sense of belonging in their new school environment. There's always great fun and great movement, tours around the school, guessing, what teacher teaches which subject, really trying to get to grips with the whole thing in a fun way, and it's really effective. Just lastly then, to go through the junior cycle subjects. So the compulsory subjects are maths, English, Irish, science, history, geography, and then our MFL, so French, will be studied by all 1st years in 2021. So just to take note of that. We have wellbeing then, which is physical education, SPHE and CSPE, and computers. So they are all the compulsory subjects for 1st year. The optional ones then, which you would have chosen by now, 3 of them: applied technology, business studies, classical studies, engineering, graphics, home economics, music, visual art, and wood technology. And then our short courses then, so students will pick one of these: coding, digital media literacy, GAA, performing arts, and philosophy. In wellbeing then, so in 1st year, just to, I suppose, assist and to develop their sense of wellbeing in the school, students will choose one of the following activities from art club, baking, basketball, drama, GAA, and science club. So there's a vast array of subjects and options for every single child, which is fantastic. I'll finish off then by looking at our extracurricular activities, and again, this is really a good way to get your child settled into school, get them involved, get them enjoying, I suppose, life outside of the classroom. So they're going to have 9 and 8 periods a day. So it's really nice, I suppose, after school, if they have training to look forward to, or if they have choir to look forward to at lunchtime. They've got art club, home economics. There's a really vast array of extracurricular activities, and all of your children will be able to sign up to these activities from September. So we really strongly encourage that. So I'm now going to hand you over to our Deputy Principal, Janet Wallace, who's going to take you through some information about our school.
Okay, thanks, Ms. McGuire. I'm just getting a bit of feedback there. I hope everybody else isn't. We okay? Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to tonight's webinar. We would have loved to be meeting you in person downstairs tonight in our lovely GP area. It's a beautiful evening, and the school is looking fabulous as usual. So we look forward to seeing you at some stage in the very near future in the building, and we look forward to welcoming our students in September and you parents at the earliest opportunity we can. You will have serious information overload tonight. So just to let you know, we're recording this webinar. I believe that some people are having difficulty with just accessing the picture. We will put up the slides and the webinar on our website, and a lot of the information is already on our website. So please do pop over to our website and you'll be able to find all of that information. Equally, if some of your friends or parents aren't able to make it tonight, you might just let them know that the information is there. So we really look forward to meeting our new incoming set of first years in September, and we can't wait to see you in person. We are all on the same page. We all want the very, very best for your child, your son or your daughter. And our mission statement says it all. We really want to provide a positive learning experience where children learn, and they learn how to be young adults, that they learn to be respectful, and that they do all of that within a safe, fair and caring environment. We really want them to achieve their full potential, and everything we do in the school tries to achieve that. So the next few slides are all about the little tiny things that we have to do in order to keep the school running shipshape, so that we achieve our mission statement, so that your son or daughter excels in whatever area they should. So just to bring you through the school day, on a Monday we have 9 periods. Each period or class lesson is 40 minutes. And then Tuesday to Friday, there are just 8 periods in the day. So it's a nice finish Tuesday to Friday at 3:20. Ms. Mcguire mentioned earlier about the exhaustion in the first few days and the first few weeks. Our students find all of the new information quite overwhelming at times. So we know that, we know to expect that, and just so that you know to expect it too, and to try and be patient as best you can. We have staggered breaks to accommodate our large numbers, and I suppose the unmentioned thing at the moment is COVID. So we have first years on a different break to second years, and to just try and split up the year groups to make sure that everybody has a bit more space. So they're the times there for first years. We encourage students to bring a packed lunch, but where they can't, there's a canteen, and our canteen has been awarded an Irish Heart Foundation Healthy Eating School Award, the first post-primary in Wexford to do so. And our school has a Health Promoting School Award, so we really do encourage our students to eat as healthy as possible in the school day. Our registration time is at 8:52, but our students need time to get into the school building, to access their lockers, perhaps to go to the toilet, and then to be in tutor class, settled down to begin at 8:52. Our tutors meet with the students every single morning for those 8 minutes, and it's a lovely time where the tutor gets to check in to say good morning to the students, to have a look at their student journal, to make any announcements, but it's also a time to check any notes between home and school. So if you do have notes, the tutor, the first year tutor, is the person you need to communicate with most, as Ms. Mcguire outlined earlier. Also, the uniform is also checked, so just to make sure that the students are in their full school uniform heading off to school in the morning. So there's a picture there of our student journals, our junior student journal and our senior student journal. And they were this current academic. We'll have new ones for next year. And it's 2 main purposes. It's for the students to record their homework, but it's also as a tool to communicate between home and school. So you're probably used to going to the primary school, maybe even make an appointment with the teacher if possible. Your primary school teacher had 30 students to get to know. An average teacher in our school and every post-primary school in the country has about 240 students on a daily basis. So it's really important that we communicate through the student journal, keep an eye on the student journal, and that's where any communication, important communication, happens. Thanks, Ms. Mcguire. I might go to the next one. So one of the very most important things I can advise you to do as parents and students is when all of COVID is over, please God soon, we will be able to have full attendance in school. So try to be in school on time every day. When you can and where you can, try to arrange medical and dental appointments outside of school. You'll see in the first image there that there is a section of the journal where you can write in an urgent appointment. So if your child has an appointment during the school day, write in what time their appointment is at, and the student shows that to their tutor. When they're in class, then they show it to their teacher. The teacher allows them to leave, and then you come to the front reception and sign the student out. It's really important that you do that, because otherwise, if you have to arrive just up at the school door, we have to make an announcement over the school intercom, and that interrupts the learning for all students. So we try not to do that if at all possible. Obviously, there will be emergencies, and that's okay. If your child is late for any reason, just fill in the late arrivals quick note in the back of their journal. And also too, if they're absent for any reason, just fill that in the journal too. We have to inform TUSLA of where any student is absent for more than 20 days. So just so that you're aware of that. So another thing that the journal does is it communicates with home if a student has forgotten to do homework and the teacher has already given them a chance to hand it in late. Or sometimes if there's some more serious reprimands, the student journal is the place that we will record it. We try to have a culture of mutual respect in the school, and we use a system of restorative practice. And that's where we have a conversation with the student and try and encourage them to take responsibility for their wrongdoing. And it puts the emphasis on learning from their mistakes. We are all human, teachers, students, year heads, senior management, all human. We will all make mistakes. It's a school of learning. And the important thing is that we all learn from those mistakes and try and as best we can to avoid them happening again. We have information in our code of positive behaviour about the report system, after school detention, lunchtime detention, all these things that you don't need to worry about if you keep doing the right thing. So I'm sure that won't apply to any of our incoming first year students. So we won't even mention it. For the students who continually do the great things that we ask them to do, who are respectful to each other, respectful to property, and who do their homework, who try their very best in every class, and that's all we ask you, just try your best, whatever your best is. We have a positive affirmations committee, and they, usually twice a year, they reward the students who have been doing their best. So we've had ice cream trucks, we've had postcards sent home, we've had different things for those students who have done their very best. So I'm hoping that we will have a large number of our incoming first year students receiving PAC awards next year. So it's something to look forward to. So this is a little bit of a technical section for parents. You may be used to Aladdin or some type of a software program that primary schools use. We use a system called VSware, and it's a software program. It monitors students' attendance. It monitors their behaviour. It allows us to send texts out to you. It allows you to see timetables, the students' timetable. For the students' Christmas and summer reports, they'll all be available there. And you may already have used it to fill in the subject options for your son or daughter. You will already have received a username by text from the school. It's really important that you keep that username in a really safe place. You can, and then you'll be able to access that website and create your password from there. I would encourage you over the next few weeks to download the Parents app, but also to look at VSware for the guides for parents, because it's really useful thing to do, and it'll take you a few minutes and then you'll know how to use it from the get-go. So over the next few weeks, to download the VSware app to either your Android device or your Apple device, and you'll be able to access the parent dashboard there. And that's just a brief overview of what you'll see. And the next slide also shows you of just what you will see. The attendance, if you click on the green button there, it'll show you the attendance, the assessment if there are any reports, and the behaviour if there are any behaviour reports, the student's timetable, and then personal information. It's really, really important that you inform the admin staff if there is any problems with VSware or if you change your mobile phone number or anything like that. So please do that. If you have, your son or daughter may have a mobile phone, it's important that they're turned off during the school day. If your son or daughter needs to contact home for any reason during the school day, you must alert a staff member. And in order, if a child feels ill, they usually go to their class tutor or their year head, and the class tutor or the year head will give the student permission to phone home if they're too ill to continue in the school day. Sometimes we'll make the call that the student can continue and if they're feeling well enough to continue, but it is important that we have your up-to-date information in that instance. So on our website, in the About tab, you'll find policies. And under that, you'll find lots of relevant policies. So the ones that might be most relevant, unless you're finding it hard to sleep some night, the 2 or 3 that would be really important that you might have a look at are our iPad internet use, mobile phone policy, our code of positive behaviour. I think and hopefully we won't need our COVID-19 response plan, but if we do, that would be an important one as well. They're all available on our website. So our uniform, our website is the go-to one-stop shop for lots of information. You'll see the icons on the top right-hand side of the website. I would encourage you, if you are on Facebook, to join our Facebook page because there's lots of good news stories celebrated on that. Way to pay, I'll mention in a minute. VSware, that's the school link. Office 365, Mr. McGrath might mention a little bit about that. Wriggle, Mr. McGrath is going to mention also about the iPads. And then BodyBro is a place where you'll be able to get your child's PE uniform. So due to COVID, we used to be allowed students to change in the changing rooms before their PE and after their PE back into their regular school uniform. However, changing rooms were out of bounds during COVID. So we have now suggested that the student PE uniform are to be worn on days where students are involved in any sports related activities. So for our 5th years studying exam PE, that might be 5 days a week. For our first years, it will probably be on the day that they're studying PE and also on the day that they have wellbeing activities, if that is an activity-based one. So you may have to wear your PE uniform 2 days a week. Just to say that there is a link to the BodyBro on our website there, and the deadline for this store is closing on the 18th of June. I know that BodyBro are based in Gorey. They're welcoming anybody down to come and try on sizes. They are going to personalise the uniforms when they arrive, and they'll deliver them free to your home address. But just to remember that that deadline is coming up soon, the 18th of June. So just to outline our regular school uniform that can be purchased in Leddies or in Funges down in Gorey Main Street. And it's there and you can have a look at it. And the PE uniform, just when you go on the BodyBro website, it is the PE uniform that you're looking for. It's a school crested quarter zip, a school crested tracksuit bottom, a school crested training jersey, and it's €80 includes delivery and personalised initials. I would encourage you to access the code and our our uniform policy, because it shows pictures of what shoes are acceptable and what shoes aren't acceptable. And the last thing we want is for parents to go to the expense of buying a pair of black shoes that aren't suitable. So please make sure to have a look at our website at our uniform policy and to have a look at those images. So we're a school of learning, and that has to be to the top and forefront of all of our minds. And from the get-go, we'll be encouraging students to set up a homework and study routine as best they can in order for each and every student here to achieve their full potential. And we want you to record in every class what homework is due or what study is to be done and when it's due. And Mr. McGrath will talk to you about our Office 365 accounts and our Teams accounts. And just to let you know that exams will come in late November, December and May. I know it sounds like a long way off, but when you're used to primary school, it sometimes comes as a shock to first year students. So we don't want to pull any surprises on you. So just to let you know that we will be having exams in those months. And it's important that you do your little bit every night, and that won't be a big deal then when the exams do come around. After school study then operates in the school, and we'll be sending out more information on that. And again, some of this is COVID dependent. And just finally, the way to pay is our online payment system. We try and operate a cashless school as far as possible. And this is a user ID and a password will be sent to you in September or October. It's separate to your VSware, so try and keep that password safe also. And in September or October, you will be issued with a bill for your school services fee. It's for €75. It includes your school journal, the locker, the combination lock on your locker, and all of the texts that will be sent out to you throughout the year, any photocopying, the calculator, geometry set and hardback copies that you'll need for maths, and your school insurance. I know some students out there are wondering when they will get their lockers. So in the first few weeks of school, we will get you your lock and your locker and your own combination lock. And again, just keep a record of the combination lock in a safe place. So finally, just as sort of a to-do list, Mr. McGrath is going to outline about the iPad and the management system for your iPad. The deadline there is the 16th of June and the code is there. Your ebooks, your book list was sent to you. It's on our website. It's in the letter section of our website. And you can get your books from whatever bookseller you want. Bookhaven happen to have our book list on their website, but don't feel that you have to purchase it there. Call into Bodybro, try and get sizes, order the PE uniform before Friday the 18th of June, and get your school uniform. All of this, we're very conscious of money, that this is all quite a lot of an investment. The first year is going to be the expensive year. Other years after that won't be. There won't be the same book bill. Gorey Credit Union offer really competitive rates for iPad loans, etc. And we've a long-standing relationship with them. So please just, access them as soon as you can. And for example, on the PE uniform, €80 is an in-front cost. However, students have said to us via the Student Council and other student forums that it actually saves money in the long run because there isn't the same need for designer gear, etc. So some of these are investments that will hopefully save money in the long run. You can await a letter from the school on the return to school time and the date for entrance exams. You can download your VSware app, and wait to pay information will come to you in September and October. So I'll end there. I'm really looking forward to meeting all of our first year students. I can't wait to meet you all in person. Parents, we look forward to meeting you hopefully in person as soon as we can. If you've any questions, you can email any of us at any stage, and we'll try and sort out any difficulties as soon as they arise. So the best of luck, everybody, and I hope you all have a lovely summer. Thank you. I'm going to hand over now to Ms. Furlong, who's our SENCO Special Educational Needs Coordinator and also our newly appointed Deputy Principal. So I'm going to hand over to Ms. Furlong now, who will do that. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Janet. As Janet introduced myself, my name is Linda Furlong and I am the Special Educational Needs Coordinator in the school and recently appointed Deputy Principal. I'm just going to keep you just for a few moments, just to give you a little bit of a brief overview of the supports that we have in place for students with additional learning needs. So you will see on the screen there stands the word SET. So SET stands for our Special Educational Teaching Team. And this team is made up of 6 qualified teachers. And those teachers organise and provide support to students with additional learning needs across all years. In first year, there will be a link teacher who will work closely with the year head, Ms. Mcguire, along with the class tutors, and they will look at putting in support for your students. The team can be contacted by a generic email. It's creacollege@sen@wwetb.ie. Don't worry about taking that down. It is on the screen and it will be available on our website as well. This team is supported by subject teachers and SNAs and obviously Ms. Mcguire, the year head. I'm aware that, a lot of students who we may not be aware of, we also may have students who have diagnosis, but there's also some students out there who we may not be aware of have learning needs. So we go about identifying students who need support by using a very simple process that involves 4 steps. So we look at what the concern is, we look at why is it happening. So we look at gathering various information from different sources. And looking at first year and support for first years, we tend to gather data from the primary school, from conversations held with parents. And unfortunately, due to COVID, it hasn't been our usual process where I would have met with you individually. A lot of it is over phone or through email. So obviously, if there is any reports or if there are any concerns that you have in relation to your child that you haven't spoke to me or a member of the team, please contact us on the email address, and either myself or some of the team will try our best to get back to you within the next few days, or if not, it will be late August, early September. So obviously, as I said, we identify the students, what the concern is, why is it happening, then we look at implementing various supports. So what can we do to help the need? And then finally we review it to make sure, is it working and what we need to do next. Then what we tend to do is we tend to look at the focus of support. So once students are identified, we then look at what the concern is and we place them on a continuum of support. So this, if you can see, there is a whole school support, there is school support for some, and then there's school support for a few. And I just want to draw your attention to this whole school and classroom support for all. A lot of the time, the supports that we put in place for students with additional learning needs benefit all students. So this is the supports that we put in at whole school level. It's in each subject. It could be where you have a teacher in supporting a particular group of students, but they're there to support all students to ensure that all the needs have been met in the classroom. The focus of support can be on literacy, it can be on numeracy, it could be on language support, behavioural support. It really depends on the needs of the child and how they're presenting. Sometimes it can be a combination of all types of support that I've mentioned. I'd also like to draw your attention to the fact that we do provide support to students who are learning English for the first time. We obviously are aware that we will have students coming into us in September that will need this additional level of support. Finally, the models of support that we implement are a combination of team teaching and withdrawal. We have to ensure that we use the most effective method. So while team teaching is obviously extremely inclusive, and it can draw that stigma away of the child being withdrawn from class, because sometimes students don't want to come out of class because they just want to fit in with their peers. And at CREA, I suppose we pride ourselves on the fact that we are a very inclusive school. But however, some students will need that little bit of more intense support, and that may take, I suppose, the look of withdrawal or one-to-one or small group withdrawal. So just to bear that in mind. Finally, before I hand you over to Mr. McGrath, I'd just like to draw your attention to Irish exemptions. I know there may be some parents there thinking, you know, my son or daughter has an Irish exemption, will they have to study Irish? And the answer is no. If they have an Irish exemption and they have a certificate, and that certificate has been sent into the school and we have it on file, your child will not be studying Irish. I am also conscious of the fact that there are some students who may be going through the process of having an Irish exemption implemented in primary school. That also means that once that certificate comes into us in September or before then, no, your child will not be studying Irish. We do try to offer support at that time to students who have Irish exemptions. However, it is based on the level of need. You know, there are some students there who have an Irish exemption for whatever the reason may be, but they don't actually require learning support or special educational teaching at that time. So they won't access support at that time. They may be in the classroom doing some independent study. And finally, then, I just would like to say that if you have any outstanding reports that you haven't maybe popped into ourselves, could you just maybe pop in a hard copy into the office for my attention, so it's just Linda Furlong, or if you have them in soft copy, you can email them to that general email address that was up on the first screen. So now I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Tony McGrath, who's going to go through some information on our iPads.
Okay, good evening everybody. My name is Tony McGrath and I'm the IT coordinator here at Korea College. What I want to do here is just, I suppose, try answer some of the questions that most commonly occur when parents start out here in Korea College, predominantly in relation to iPads. We're a digital one-to-one school, which means each student in Korea College has their own digital device. In this case, it's an iPad. And I suppose this gives us a huge advantage in lots of many different ways. One of which I suppose is most obvious there during the recent COVID-19 pandemic, which, you know, gave our students a really, really distinct advantage. What I'm going to do now is, I suppose, I'm going to try and point us in the right direction in relation to how do you go about actually organising and sorting out an iPad for your student. If you have an existing iPad or if you need to buy a new iPad, what are the steps involved? So hopefully you can see my screen here where I'm on the Korea College website on the main page here. What I'm going to do is point you in the right direction here. So just to highlight a few things that were mentioned earlier on by my colleagues. For instance, there's a link here on our website you can see to the Body Grow shop that will bring you to the store and allow you to organise the PE uniform for your son or daughter. The VSware link is here as well, which allows you to access VSware as mentioned previously. And Way to Pay is also along the top here as well, in addition to the Office 365 login, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. First of all, though, I want to have a look here at the Wriggle logo. Clicking on this brings you to the Wriggle store, which is where we recommend all iPads are purchased from. Once we click onto the link, it brings us into the Wriggle website itself. And if you look across the top of it here, you'll see an option to order. And what you need to do is click on this order button up top here, and it brings you to this little screen here. Earlier on, it was mentioned that we have a store login number. This is where it's required. Each school has a unique login number. Ours happens to be 80440. So you type that in here and click on the login button, and it brings you to the next page. A number of parents might have kind of struggled at this point a little bit, but as you scroll down along, you'll see there's a video here in the middle of the screen. You need to watch this video first of all to be able to proceed to actually placing an order for an iPad or for actually setting up an existing iPad to be used within Korea College. So I'm not going to watch the entirety of this video. I'm just going to skip along to the end here. I recommend you guys do watch it. But as the video plays out here and gets to the end, a little button will become active here on the right hand side saying choose bundle and order now. So when I click on this, it brings you into the option here of the 6 stores you have at Korea College, 1 for each year group. Obviously you guys are concerned with the first year store. So you click in here for the order now option and you begin to build your bundle as you choose or as you wish. Now there are 2 options available. You can buy a brand new device from Wriggle themselves and it comes with a kind of educational discount. It's probably the cheapest way to buy a new iPad. Or you can use an existing iPad assuming that it meets the requirements. Now, things to be mindful of, all iPads in Korea College will require what's called a management system. And what that basically does is it sets up the iPads in such a way as they're actually safe for students to use. It gives them access to the school Wi-Fi network. It limits the apps that are actually installed on the iPad. They don't have access to the App Store to install additional apps, for instance. So it removes the likes of social media apps for use during school time, and it keeps the iPad as safe as possible. It is actually a requirement that whether it's an iPad bought from Wriggle or your own iPad, that the management system is on it. And I'll show you here how you actually get a management system onto an existing iPad in a few minutes. But first of all, let's assume you're buying a new iPad. You have a couple of options here. You have the 32GB and you have the 128GB. The primary difference here is simply the storage capacity. 32 is sufficient. It might require students from time to time deleting work to make room for additional storage over time. But as I'll mention in a few minutes, we have additional storage online available for students through their Office 365. So the 32GB is probably sufficient for the moment. But if it is an option, the 128GB is obviously a better device in terms of potential storage capacity. So once the student decides as a parent which device you want, you click to add it to the basket. You scroll down along here. We kind of recommend that we go to the next section here. It's asking me here, I have to choose an accessory in terms of a protective case. You can either bring your own case or you can go with the case provided by Wriggle. The case provided by Wriggle is actually very good. It keeps the device well protected, and from day one, you know, you avoid the risk of dropping the iPad, breaking screens, etc. So I'm going to add that to the bundle as well. And I'm going to click on to proceed then to the next section. Here it'll give you the option for insurance, which is entirely optional. A little bit of information about that here. That is something for you to have a look at, decide if it's something for you or not. I'm going to not include it for the moment. I'm going to continue to the next section. Here again is one or two areas where parents might have questions. This is where it talks about the Wriggle services options. You know, technically they're not necessarily options in the sense that you have to acquire these, they're part of it. What they're actually alluding to is the management system that will be installed on your iPad and the 3-year license that will allow Wriggle to manage this and update it as necessary. You know, make sure the latest version of apps are installed on your iPad as required by ourselves. So these are required, but this is the management system that we talk about. There's an additional thing here, the Wriggle Connect Family Plus. Again, that's just an additional service from Wriggle. It's more information on how-to videos, etc. That's an option. Again, have a look at it and see if it's something that might interest you. And then we kind of continue to the next section here. Again, they'll ask you, do you want insurance or not? We're happy enough to proceed without it. You see an assortment of potential additional purchases for your iPad. Again, none of these are compulsory. If you're to pick up one, perhaps the stylus pen might be worthwhile, but the rest of them, you know, it's not a requirement in Korea College. These are all options. And once you're happy with your order, you continue to the next section, and we're going to proceed. And from here, then you'll fill in your own personal information in relation to shipping addresses, billing, so on and so forth. And once this is completed, then your iPad will be put together by Wriggle and will be delivered out to you at home. One thing to be mindful of, when your device arrives, it will have information contained within it. There will be some usernames and passwords which are key. They're vital. We recommend that as soon as you get the iPad on a second device, be it a phone or something, take a few pictures of this information and keep it somewhere safe, because it can cause a lot of hassle in a year or two's time if we need some of that information. The students have long since forgotten it or lost it. Say, take a picture, have it backed up. Just to quickly go back, again, if we were to look at using an existing device, I'll just quickly show you what happens here. Same store code is used to log in. The only difference is when we click into the store, so I'll have to skip through the video again. So this time, I'm going to click into the same store again, but if I ignore the iPads that are for sale here and skip down, you see BYOD, bring your own device, and it says a minimum of an iPad 5th generation, Wi-Fi only is required. You can add this to your cart, and it's going to assume you're bringing your own case as well. And then what happens here is a really important set of instructions flash up on the screen here, and I suppose it's vital that these are adhered to. They're basically explaining what Wriggle wants you to do with the iPad before you send it back to them. So just to be clear on this, the iPad will have to go back to Wriggle. It'll have to be completely reset. All data will be completely removed on it, and then the management system will be put onto it. That is the only way an existing iPad can be set up and used within Korea College. It has to conform with the same set of standards that a new iPad bought from Wriggle would as well. And again, if you're happy with that, you just follow these instructions and click on the same way through to checkout at the end. And you'll see here that the management system services fees included here as well. And that's kind of that one. Okay, just clicking back here onto the Career College homepage. There was a mention of Office 365 earlier on there. Office 365, all students in Career College will get a free access to Office 365. This will be a username and password that will give them a huge amount of online digital storage in the cloud. It will give them access to applications such as Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel, so on and so forth. Their email address and things like that will also come from the Office 365. These details will be given to the students when they start in Career College early on the first week or so in first year. I know a lot of parents will have queries in relation to books, physical books versus e-books. I saw a few questions earlier on there. Why do students have to buy physical books when they're actually going to be using e-books? Well, it's one of those odd things that it's actually financially you're no better off buying just an e-book versus a physical book. And what happens is when you buy the physical book, you already get a digital copy or a free e-book along with the physical book. So when you purchase the physical books from whatever store you choose to purchase them from, you will get an e-code inside of that book, and that will allow you to then download and add that e-book onto the iPad. So the student will then bring the iPad to school with their books on it and will leave the physical books at home. From a cost perspective, there's virtually no difference between just buying a license for an e-book or buying a physical book and getting the free ebook with it. And I suppose the advantage at the end of it perhaps that maybe the books could be sold on at a later date if needs be when the students are finished with them at the end of the 3-year junior cycle. So hopefully that answers a lot of the questions you might have. On our website here you'll find a few additional bits of information. In the letters to families here, there's a letter home for first year parents. This contains the book list and a few other bits and pieces of useful information. And there's another thing down here, the iPad info, and that's just a little PDF with a bit more information about what Wriggle do and why we use Wriggle as our digital learning partner and the services they provide when we get iPads from them. So hopefully you guys have got a lot of information from this. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pass you back over to our principal, Mr. Paul Glynn, and he's going to finish off the evening here for you guys. Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Gra, and thanks to everybody in our team for their contributions to this evening, and thank you to all of our attendees for joining again on what is a wonderful summer's evening. So you're very good to be sitting and looking at screens on such a lovely evening as this. It might be a bit overwhelming for some of you, especially if your child who's joining us in September is your oldest child and it's your first time to send a child to post-primary school. There's a lot of information, but all of the information that we have made available here is on our website. We're here to help. You can send questions in by email, you can contact the office, we'll do everything we can to support you and to help your children settle into post-primary school. The change from primary to post-primary school can be a daunting one for some students. It is a lot to take in, they will be very tired in the first few weeks, but it is an exciting one and the vast majority of students enjoy it, have great fun. It's an important step in the road to growing up. And we're delighted to be in a position to help them and to have such a wonderful team to look after their well-being and to look after their academic success. And I think it is worth noting that for young people who've gone to school at this particular moment in history over the last year and a half and probably last for another few months before we're through the other side of this, this is a wonderful time in many, many ways. The world, society, countries have pulled together in a way that we might not have thought possible. Huge sacrifices have been made to get us through the COVID-19 crisis, not least by students attending schools and by people working in schools. But there is an end in sight, the scientific community, and we are very much a science-led school as well. We have 5 science labs, computer science, 4 other science subjects at Leaving Cert level. Science has led the way in bringing us to the point of recovery from this crisis. So for young people embarking on this phase of their education, this is a wonderful time and this is a wonderful school for them to do it in, and we look forward to welcoming them and helping them move on to the next stage in their schooling life. Thank you all very much and thank you for joining us and good night.